Welcome to my channel. What if I told you that you could improve your English without speaking a word? That you could train your brain to think in English anytime, anywhere, even when you're silent? For 30 days, I spoke English only in my mind. No notebooks, no teachers, just my thoughts. What happened shocked me. This story will show you how thinking in English can quietly transform your speaking. Stay till the end, because what I learned on day 17 will change how you learn English forever. Chapter 1. The First Day of Silence. The first day felt strange. I had made a simple rule for myself. From now on, I will not speak in my native language, not even in my head. I will think only in English. It sounded easy at first, but when I opened my eyes that morning, my mind automatically started speaking in my native language. I had to stop it. I reminded myself, no, English only. But what do I say? What does thinking in English even look like? So I started with small, easy things. I looked at the ceiling. I wake up. I saw the curtain. I see the window. I sat up slowly. I sit on the bed. That was it. Just simple, present tense sentences. I wasn't speaking, just thinking, in silence. My own thoughts were becoming English sentences. It felt slow but also exciting, like I had entered a new world, a quiet world where English lived in my head. I walked to the bathroom. I open the door. I brush my teeth. I look in the mirror. I wasn't using any grammar rules. I wasn't worried about mistakes. I was just naming what I saw and what I did. And for the first time, I was seeing English not as a subject, but as a way of life. It was around me. It was inside me. But soon, I hit a wall. I wanted to say something like, I feel fresh, but I didn't know how. I paused. I tried to translate from my language, but then I stopped myself. No translation, I whispered. Just guess. So I said, I feel new. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. It gave me confidence. I was learning by doing, not by rules. As the day went on, I kept going. Every action was a sentence. I drink water. I walk slowly. I wear my shoes. It was boring sometimes, repetitive. I forgot words. I repeated the same sentence again and again, but I didn't stop, because deep inside, I felt something changing, something waking up. In the afternoon, I went for a walk. I looked at trees. The trees are green. I saw children playing. They are running. I passed a bakery. I smell bread. I realized I didn't need a classroom. I didn't need a teacher. My environment was my teacher, and my mind was my classroom. By evening, I was tired. Thinking in English all day was hard. My brain was not used to it. It wanted to rest. It wanted to return to my native language. But I didn't let it. I stayed silent. And I kept thinking in English. Simple thoughts, simple words. I even tried to plan the next day in English. Tomorrow, I wake up at 7. I make breakfast. I study English. Just planning felt like speaking, but in silence. The day ended with a strange feeling. I hadn't spoken English aloud. I hadn't used any grammar rules. I hadn't memorized anything, but I had spent one full day living in English, inside my mind. And that felt powerful. It felt real. It felt like a small light had turned on in a dark room. And I knew if I kept going, that light would grow. I smiled before going to bed. My last thought was, I can do this. And that was the most beautiful sentence of the day, because it came not from a book, but from inside me. That night, for the first time, I dreamed in English. Chapter 2. My brain starts to fight. Day 2 began with a strange kind of headache, not the kind that comes from noise or stress, but the kind that comes from using your brain in a new way. I woke up and forgot to think in English. My mind naturally started in my native language again. It felt comfortable, easy, automatic. But I remembered my goal. I whispered in my mind, no, English only. Still, it was harder than yesterday. My brain didn't want to do it. It felt slow, heavy, even lazy. It was like dragging a heavy bag up a hill. I said, I get up. Then my mind replied in my native language. No one is watching. Just relax. I fought that voice. No, I said again, silently. This is important. I went to the kitchen. I make tea. I boil water. I open the fridge. The sentences were simple, just like yesterday, but now they felt heavier. My brain didn't want to build them. It wanted to go back to comfort, my mother tongue. That's when I realized something important. When you push your mind to grow, it fights back. That resistance means change is happening. I sat at the table. My tea was hot. I watched the steam. I tried to describe it in English. The steam is white. It goes up. It disappears. It was a small exercise, but it helped me focus. It reminded me, I don't need big, fancy words. I just need simple sentences, clear thoughts. But the resistance didn't stop. All day long, my brain tried to switch back. It was sneaky. I would think, I go to, and suddenly my next word came in my native language. I caught it. I corrected it. Again and again. And every time I fixed it, I felt stronger, like I was training a muscle. At one point, I got frustrated. I said in my mind, this is stupid. I can't do this. Then I paused. I had said that sentence in English. Even my complaints were now in English. And that made me laugh. I realized, even frustration can be part of learning if you keep it in English. I started using tricks. I would talk to myself in short phrases. Now I eat. Now I clean. Now I study. These phrases helped me stay focused. I wasn't translating. I wasn't overthinking. I was just speaking to myself, quietly, naturally, like a child learning a language again. The biggest moment came in the evening. I was walking outside. The sun was setting. I saw people talking, kids playing, cars passing, and I began to describe everything in my head. The sky is orange. The boy runs fast. That car is blue. I felt something shift. For the first time that day, I was not forcing it. I was enjoying it. I was present, and English was helping me see the world in a new way. But I still made mistakes. Many. I said, "He go to shop." Then I corrected, "He goes to the shop." I wasn't sure about the rule, but I knew how it sounded, and that was enough. I was learning not just with logic, but with feeling. Before bed, I wrote a few thoughts in my mind. Day 2 is hard. My brain wants to stop, but I don't stop. And that last sentence, "I don't stop," it gave me strength. Because it wasn't just a sentence, it was a promise to myself, a promise that this path, even if slow, would lead to fluency. And that's when I understood something clearly. Fluency does not begin with speaking fast. Fluency begins with thinking slow, thinking right, and thinking every day, even when your brain fights back. Chapter 3. The Mirror Talk Secret. Something new happened on day 4. I didn't plan it. It was early morning. The sun was just beginning to rise. I walked into the bathroom and saw myself in the mirror. My eyes looked tired. My hair was messy. But instead of thinking something in my native language, I looked at myself and whispered, "You look sleepy." Then I paused. It surprised me. It felt real, like I was talking to someone, but there was no one else. It was just me. I stood there longer than usual, and I said another sentence. "How are you today?" And then I answered, "I'm okay." I slept late. The words were soft, quiet, not loud, but something had changed. For the first time, English wasn't just in my mind, it was coming out of my mouth, softly, slowly, but surely. I was speaking to myself in English, and it felt amazing. It was a strange kind of conversation, but it felt important. I was looking into my own eyes. I was not afraid of mistakes. I was not shy. I was not trying to impress anyone. It was just me and the mirror. And in that moment, the mirror became my first teacher. I asked myself simple questions. What will you do today? Are you happy? What time is it? Then I answered, I will study English. Yes, I feel good. It's 7:15. These were short, easy answers, but they were full of confidence. Because I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to speak. This new activity became a habit. Every morning before anything else, I talked to myself in the mirror, even just 2 minutes. But those 2 minutes gave me power. I started to see myself differently. I started to hear my own voice in English, and slowly, my voice stopped shaking. My words came faster. My eyes looked stronger. I was not just a learner anymore. I was a speaker. Sometimes I made mistakes. He go to school instead of he goes to school. But I caught the mistake while looking at myself. I would smile and say, "Oops, wrong." Then I'd fix it. He goes to school. This feedback loop, this cycle of mistake and correction, became my best lesson. And the mirror was my classroom. I also noticed something else. When I looked into the mirror and spoke English, I felt emotions. If I said, "I feel tired," I really felt it. If I said, "I will try hard today," I believed it. The mirror talk wasn't just language practice. It was connection with my emotions, my goals, and my self-belief. One evening, I even practiced a future conversation. I looked in the mirror and said, "Hello, my name is..." Then I imagined someone asking me, "Where are you from?" And I answered. I practiced smiling while speaking. I practiced body language. It wasn't a joke. It was serious training. And it was working. By day 6, something strange happened. I started missing my mirror talk if I didn't do it. It became like brushing my teeth, something I needed to start my day. And every time I looked into the mirror and said, "Let's start the day strong," I felt ready. Not just ready to speak English, ready to live in English. This was no longer just a learning method. This was transformation. I was building a new identity, quietly, privately, but deeply. And it all began with one simple step, looking into a mirror and speaking to myself with love, curiosity, and courage. You don't need a partner to start speaking English. Sometimes all you need is a mirror and a brave heart. Chapter 4. The Mistake That Made Me Smile. It was day 7, one full week of thinking and whispering in English. My brain was slowly adjusting. The sentences came faster now. I didn't stop to translate every word, but still, mistakes happened. And one of those mistakes changed the way I looked at learning forever. That morning, I was boiling rice. The smell filled the kitchen. I picked up the spoon, and in my mind I said, "I cooking rice." Then I paused. Something felt strange. "I cooking rice?" I repeated it again. It didn't sound right. I tried again. "I am cooking rice." That felt better. That felt correct. At that moment, I smiled. Not because I had made a mistake, but because I had caught the mistake without a grammar book. I didn't open Google. I didn't check a rule. My ears knew it was wrong. My mind felt the rhythm of English. That was the moment I realized I was learning like a child, by feeling, not by forcing. This kind of learning is slow at first, but it's strong. When you correct yourself from the inside, you never forget. And more than that, you grow confident, because you're not depending on anyone else. You are becoming your own guide. I started to welcome these small mistakes. They became my friends. When I said, "He go to office," and later realized it should be, "He goes to the office," I didn't feel angry or embarrassed. I felt excited. I was learning through living. Every wrong sentence was a lesson. Every correction was a celebration. Sometimes I made the same mistake again the next day, and that's okay too. That's how real learning happens. You fall, you rise, you repeat, and then you remember. Slowly, the wrong becomes right. The weak becomes strong. In the evening, I sat quietly and reviewed my day. In my mind, I whispered, "Today I make 3 mistakes." I said, "He go." I said, "She like tea." I said, "I cooking." But I fixed them. I learned from them. That quiet reflection was powerful. It helped me see my progress. It helped me see that mistakes are not enemies. They are signs of effort. There was another moment that made me laugh. I was in the kitchen again. I wanted to say, I cut the vegetables, but instead I said, I cut the animals. I caught it immediately. No, not animals. I laughed so hard. That mistake was silly, but I will never forget the word vegetables now. Why? Because the mistake gave me a memory. This is the truth. When you're not afraid of mistakes, you grow faster. Most learners stop speaking because they are scared of being wrong. But I was learning in silence. No one was judging me. I had nothing to fear. So I made mistakes freely, and every time, I came out better. By the end of day 7, I felt proud. Not because I was fluent, not because I was perfect, but because I was learning like a human, with emotion, with laughter, with experience. My English wasn't just grammar and vocabulary. It was becoming real. It had personality. It had heart. So I gave myself a new rule. Every time I make a mistake in English, I must smile, because it means I am trying, and trying means I am on the path. A mistake is not the end. It is just a sign that learning is happening. A very good sign. That night, before sleeping, I whispered to myself, I am not perfect, but I am improving. And that sentence, said softly in the dark, made me feel stronger than ever. Chapter 5. My first silent conversation. It was day 10. I had already spent more than a week thinking in English. I had described my actions. I had talked to myself in the mirror. I had caught and corrected my own mistakes. But I had never done something that felt like real communication. That changed today. I was sitting quietly in my room. The fan was turning slowly above me. I wasn't holding a book. I wasn't writing anything. I was just sitting. Then a thought came. What if I imagine a conversation? What if I create two people in my head and they talk to each other in English? So I tried. I imagined I was in a store. A woman behind the counter smiled at me. In my mind, she said, "Hello, can I help you?" I replied in my head, "Yes, I'm looking for a jacket." She asked, "What size do you need?" I said, "Medium, please." She smiled again. "Try this one." I said, "Thank you." I stopped. My eyes were wide. I had just spoken 4 lines, a full conversation, all in my head, all in English, and it felt real. It was like I was watching a movie, but I was both the actor and the audience. I felt joy. This was something new, something powerful. I decided to try more. I imagined I was meeting someone for the first time. "Hi, what's your name?" "My name is Sam." "Nice to meet you, Sam. Where are you from?" "I'm from United States. And you?" "I'm from Canada." These simple exchanges made me feel something I had not felt before. Readiness. I felt ready to talk to a real person. From that day, I started doing this every day, creating silent conversations, on the bus, while walking, before sleeping. Anytime I had quiet time, I opened my mind and let the characters speak. I would imagine situations at the airport, in a cafe, in a taxi. I imagined asking for directions, ordering food, asking about the weather, and what surprised me most, I didn't need to think too hard. The sentences came naturally, not perfect, but clear, not fast, but smooth. My brain was not translating anymore. It was thinking directly in English. Some moments were funny. I imagined talking to a waiter and saying, "I want chicken tea." I laughed. No, I mean chicken soup." That mistake made the scene more fun. It made the memory stronger. And I learned the word better. This is the magic of creating conversations. They stay with you. Another day, I imagined being in a job interview. I said in my mind, "I am hard worker. I like learn new things." Then I paused. It didn't sound right. I corrected it. "I am a hard worker. I like to learn new things." Just like before, I corrected myself, not by rule, but by feel. That correction felt deep, natural. The best part of these silent conversations was the confidence they gave me. I was no longer afraid of English. I was playing with it. I was using it. And every time I finished a conversation in my mind, I felt stronger. Like I had finished a small practice session, a workout for my brain. There was no one to hear me, no one to say good job or wrong sentence. But I didn't need that. I knew I was learning. I could feel it in the speed of my thoughts. I could feel it in the words I remembered. I could feel it in the way English started to feel like a part of me. By the end of day 10, I had a new favorite method. Thinking was good. Mirror talk was helpful. But silent conversations, they were fun. They were like little movies that I controlled. And in those moments, I wasn't just learning English. I was living in it. And when you start to live in a language, even if it's only in your head, something powerful happens. You stop learning English. You start becoming an English speaker. Chapter 6. When English becomes a habit. Day 15 arrived quietly, just like every other morning. But something had changed. I didn't notice it immediately. I got out of bed, walked to the bathroom, and said in my head, "I feel tired today." Then I brushed my teeth and thought, "I have to buy toothpaste." It was simple. It was automatic. It was in English. Then it hit me. I didn't try to think in English. I just did it. My brain was doing it on its own. No pressure, no reminders, no forcing. English had become a habit. I smiled at the mirror. "This is working," I whispered. At the beginning, I had to fight every thought. I had to stop my native language every minute. But now, English was becoming the first voice in my head. Not the second, the first. That feeling was incredible. It was like finding a new road in a forest, a road that was built just by walking it every day. That day, I went outside for a walk. The sun was warm, the streets were quiet. I saw a small cat sleeping under a car. My first thought? The cat is sleeping in the shade. I didn't plan that sentence. It just came. Naturally, silently, and perfectly. I passed a shop. They are closing early today, I thought. Again, no translation, no stress, just natural English. This was the moment I understood something very big. Learning English is not only about speaking or writing. It's about creating automatic thoughts in English. Once English becomes your mind's language, fluency begins to grow like a seed under the soil, quietly but powerfully. The habit was not only about words, it was also about how I felt. I felt more confident. I started thinking about my future in English. Next week, I want to try a conversation with a real person. I will practice speaking on a video call. These weren't just thoughts. They were goals, made and felt in English. Even emotions became part of it. When I was sad, I whispered, "I feel low today, but it's okay." When I was happy, I smiled and said, "I love this moment." I started feeling in English. That is something no textbook can teach you. One evening, I was watching the sunset. The sky was full of colors, orange, pink, purple. I whispered in my mind, "This sky looks like a painting." Then I thought, I wish I could show this to someone. I imagined saying it to a friend in English. That thought, that desire to share beauty using English, made me emotional. That night, I realized something that gave me goosebumps. English was no longer just a skill I was trying to learn, it was becoming a part of my personality. I wasn't just practicing sentences, I was thinking dreams, emotions, and memories in another language, and that's what a true habit feels like. You don't even know you're doing it until you stop and realize, I've been doing this all day. Of course, I still made small mistakes. Sometimes I said, "he don't," instead of, "he doesn't." But I caught it quickly. My brain now had a little English ear inside. It could hear what sounded right and what didn't. It was like learning music. You feel the rhythm. By day 15, I was no longer fighting English. I was walking with it. It wasn't heavy anymore. It was light, natural, and joyful. And that's the key. When learning becomes a lifestyle, not a lesson. When you stop practicing English and start living it. Chapter 7. The Fear of Speaking Out Loud. By day 20, I had been thinking, whispering, and imagining English every single day. In my mind, I was fluent. I could describe my actions. I could talk to myself. I could imagine conversations in cafes, stores, and airports. I felt proud. But one thing was still missing. I hadn't spoken to a real person, not even once. The idea scared me. What if I forgot words? What if I made a mistake? What if they laughed at me? My mind was fluent, but my mouth felt frozen. It's a strange thing. You feel ready in your thoughts, but when it's time to open your mouth, fear takes over. That fear is heavy and real. That day, I decided I had to break the silence, even if just a few words, even if just to a friend. So I made a plan. I would speak one short sentence to someone. Nothing big, just something simple. Later that evening, I met a friend outside my house. She smiled and said, "Hi." I smiled back. My heart started racing. I could hear my pulse in my ears. And then softly, I said, "I'm learning to speak English. I think in English now." The sentence came out slow, not smooth, but it came out. She paused. Then she smiled and said, "Wow, that's amazing. You never told me that before." I couldn't believe it. She didn't laugh. She didn't correct me. She was impressed. And that reaction, that tiny, kind reaction, gave me something powerful. Courage. We didn't talk more in English that day, but I walked home with a full heart. I had done it. I had crossed the line between silence and speech, and the world didn't fall apart. In fact, it opened up a little. The next day, I tried again. A different friend. I said, I practice English every day, in my head. She looked surprised. Really? That's cool. Just 2 sentences, but those 2 lines felt like 2 doors opening. Something had changed. I had been training in silence, and now I was testing the water. I was stepping into the world with small, brave steps. That whole week, I kept doing the same thing. 1 or 2 sentences per day. Nothing long, but real, spoken, heard. Each time I spoke, I felt nervous. My mouth moved slowly, my voice felt small, but my thoughts were strong, clear, confident, because I had built a foundation in my mind, and now that foundation was holding me up. It reminded me of something a great teacher once said, "Speak when you're not ready." That's how you become ready. There was one moment I'll never forget. I was buying something at a small shop. The man gave me the wrong change. I wanted to say something, but I hesitated. Then I thought, no, use your English. I said, "Excuse me, I think this is not correct." My voice shook a little, but he looked, counted again, and said, "Oh, sorry." He corrected it. I walked away feeling like I had won a medal, not because of the money, but because I had used my English in real life. That's the power of pushing past fear. Fear says, wait until you're perfect, but courage says, go now, try anyway. And that's when the real learning begins. By day 20, I had learned something important. Silence is useful, but speech is the goal. Thinking trains your brain, but speaking trains your courage. You don't have to say a lot, you just have to start. 1 sentence, 1 moment, 1 small win, and those wins add up. Every brave sentence becomes a brick in the house of your fluency. Chapter 8. The Real Conversation. Day 26. I didn't know this would be the day. I didn't plan it. I was just walking home after running a small errand, feeling relaxed, enjoying the breeze. My mind was calm. As always, I was thinking in English. I should cook dinner soon. Tomorrow I need to wash clothes. Just simple, routine thoughts. And then it happened. A woman standing near the street looked confused. She was holding a water bottle, looking around. Then she looked at me and asked, "Excuse me, where can I buy more water?" My heart jumped. For a second, my brain froze, but only for a second. I smiled and said, "Go straight, then turn left. There's a small shop." She looked relieved. "Thank you," she said, and I replied, "You're welcome." That was it. A short, simple conversation, nothing fancy, but it was real, it was unscripted, it was fast, and I had responded. I kept walking, but my heart was flying. I had done it. I had spoken English with a real stranger outside, in real life. I didn't ask anyone to practice. I didn't plan a topic. I didn't check my grammar before speaking. It just happened. And that's when I knew. My silent practice had turned into real skill. All those days of thinking in English, all those mirror talks, all those imagined conversations, they had prepared me for this. Quietly, deeply, without pressure. I replayed the moment in my mind again and again. Not because I was proud, but because I was shocked. I realized I didn't need to think or translate. The answer came instantly. That's fluency. Fluency is not knowing every word. It's being able to express something in the moment with confidence. Later that day, I told a friend about the conversation. And as I explained it, I said something I hadn't said before. I said, I feel like I live in English now. Not I study English. Not I try to speak English. But I live in English. Because it was true. My thoughts were English. My voice had become English. And now, my world was slowly becoming English too. In the next few days, I had more of these tiny conversations. A small chat with a shopkeeper, asking a classmate a question in English, answering something at the bus stop. Nothing long. But every time I spoke, it became easier. My voice became stronger. My words came faster. And even when I made mistakes, I didn't feel embarrassed. Because now I knew the secret. People don't care about perfect English. They care about clear, kind communication. And if you try with a smile, most people will listen. Most people will help. I even started noticing new things. I was listening better. I understood short English phrases on the radio. I caught words in songs I had never noticed before. My ears were waking up. My brain was sharper. By the evening of day 26, I sat in my room and thought quietly, this is not a dream anymore. This is working. This is real. That night I looked in the mirror and said, you did well today. And for the first time, I believed it with my whole heart. Fluency does not arrive all at once. It grows in silence. It grows with small risks. And one day, without warning, it shows itself in the middle of an ordinary street during a short conversation when your heart is calm and your words flow without fear. That's when you know you didn't just learn English, you started to live it. Chapter 9. What 30 Days Taught Me. Day 30. I sat on the edge of my bed, thinking about how it all began. Just 30 days ago, I was nervous, unsure, and slow. I had no confidence. I had no idea that thinking in English, something so quiet, so simple, could change everything. But now, something deep had shifted. I was no longer trying to study English. I was living in English. This journey was not about memorizing difficult words. It was not about speaking fast. It was about small daily steps, whispered thoughts, silent sentences, mirror talks, imaginary conversations, real emotions. Every part mattered. Every moment built something. On day 1, I struggled to say, I wake up. On day 30, I was dreaming in English. That's the power of small effort, repeated daily. I understood now. Fluency is not magic. It's not talent. It's not about speaking without mistakes. Fluency is a habit of thought. It's what you say in your mind when no one is watching. It's the voice inside you that begins to speak English before your mouth even moves. This voice, I had trained it. There were many moments I wanted to stop. When I forgot words, when I felt slow, when my brain got tired. But I didn't stop. I gave myself permission to be bad at first. And that's what helped me grow. What surprised me the most? I didn't need grammar books. I didn't need perfect plans. I just needed time, attention, repetition, and trust. I learned that my brain is a smart machine. When I feed it English thoughts, it begins to organize them. It starts to recognize patterns. It begins to make sense of the language from the inside out. And the best part? I did it all by myself. No teacher corrected me. No exam tested me. No classroom was needed. My mind was my classroom. My life was the lesson. My voice, even when silent, was the teacher. I remembered one moment from day 17, the most powerful moment of the journey. I was sitting outside. A cool breeze touched my face. And without thinking, I whispered, "This moment feels beautiful." That sentence wasn't planned. It was felt. And that's when I realized I was not translating anymore. I was not reaching for words. I was expressing, truly, naturally. That moment gave me the push I needed to go deeper. And since that day, everything changed. Now, I see English everywhere. On signs, in movies, in people's voices. I hear English inside my head even when I'm doing normal things. I talk to myself in the morning. I plan my day in English. I dream. I reflect. I live through English. Of course, I still have a long way to go. I still make mistakes. I still forget words. But now I don't panic. I don't give up. Because I've learned the most important lesson. Fluency grows from silence. And if you feed it every day, it becomes strong. So if you're just starting, don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait to speak perfectly. Just begin with one sentence. In your mind, today, right now. Because what starts in silence, one day becomes a voice. If this story helped you, if it gave you a new way to learn English, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment and tell me, have you ever tried thinking in English? What was your experience like? Let's grow together. Let's support each other. And always remember, your fluency starts not with loud words, but with quiet thoughts. This is your journey, and it begins in your mind.